All right, so I just finished The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton M. Christensen. And basically, what the book talks about is how big companies are very bad at new technologies and innovations compared to smaller ones. And basically, he says that that is inherent in the way that big companies are run is inherently bad for innovation, and the other way around. And he says you shouldn't even try to he pretty much says you shouldn't even try to have an innovative area within your big company because the cultures are just so different. So what he suggests is that you should start like a separate entity within your company, and he even suggests, even though he says it's not necessary, but he says that some companies physically remove the new element from the old element. So they have their core business, say in New York, and they want to make a more innovative spin-off type thing within the industry. They'll actually hire new people who haven't experienced their culture, hire them in, say, Florida, so there's no real connection and they don't get the two cultures mixed up. And they say that innovative products compete on different levels, and it's kind of like a hierarchy. So when you first want to like disrupt an industry, you're competing on a way that is better quality. So first you're going for the quality. You want to match the quality. Once two companies have the same quality, it then goes to convenience and reliability, and then eventually it gets down to price. But when you're disrupting an industry or being very innovative, you want to first focus on the quality and go down from there. So price isn't so much an issue until you get all the way down. They say that it's very difficult for a large business to get into a smaller industry, and you want to match the company or the organization to the size of the opportunity. They say with public companies, they want to grow at, say, 20% per year. So if you have a public company worth $50 million, small public company, but still, for example, you would want to grow by 10 million the next year. If you're thinking about like a very small industry, it might not be worth 10 million yet. It might be, but at a larger scale, that gets harder. Like if you're worth 50 billion, it's going to be very hard to find a new industry that's going to grow your revenue by 20% the next year. Like you're not going to get a $10 billion industry every year. That's crazy. So you want to basically have a new organization separate from everything else, and that'll allow them to be more innovative, have a small team. He also says that the CEOs of companies don't really control the direction of the company as much as we like to think they do. He says that they're kind of like a figurehead or something, but not really like the actual one pulling the strings. He says the customers are the ones who actually control what happens within a company. So if they're supporting one product line, then guess where the money's going to go once you have to grow the company. You're going to grow that product line that they're interested in. And intrinsically, a new market, people don't get interested in until a little bit later. So people don't really know what they want. The analysts don't really know what people are going to want. You can't ask someone what they want. They won't know what they want 10 years from now because technology is just advancing so rapidly, and you really have no idea what you're going to find useful. You don't know the applications yet. So there's just so many unknowns that you would have to invest in like all these small things, get the first mover advantage in all your small little groups and organizations. And it's very risky for big companies. You have to make sure that the capital goes toward that, even though if it's completely counter to what you're doing. For example, if you were Marriott, you might want to invest into something like Airbnb. But at the same time, before any of that's popular, why would you create that new industry, which is going to hurt your core business? You're probably going to have lower margins, and you're going to make less money on this new thing, and it's going to hurt your thing that's currently working. So it's like, why would you do that? It's a very hard situation, and you have to figure out for sustainability if it's worth it to do that new thing. So that's basically what this book was about, and it was pretty interesting, pretty short. It was definitely for CEOs that are trying to maintain their business and not be hurt by new industries.